What's up, guys? It's me, and I'm back with another video. We're a couple of days out from Money in the Bank 2022, and you know what that means. It is time, and I haven't done before the pay-per-view this time, unlike with NSL. It is time for Road to Revenge Part 3 Money in the Bank. And I'm going to be honest with you. When all is said and done, this might be one of, if not the most loaded video out of the entire series. Probably one of the longest on top of that. And the last one, part 2, was damn near 30 minutes. So this might surpass that. We'll see. There's just so much in it. So with all that being said, make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you do not miss out on future videos and streams, and stay tuned on that front. When we get to the weekend. And also make sure to use code ANJJ for free shipping on orders of $30 or more at the If you have not seen parts 1 and 2, go check those out. Go check those out first, then come back to this video. With all that being said, let's jump into this. So, first thing I want to cover real quick is the competitors who are available for the Money in the Bank qualifiers on both Raw and SmackDown. For Raw, it's Alexa, Asuka, Liv, Piper, Nikki, Dana, Tamina, and Carmella. Of course, Bianca's the champion. Zelina is out injured, and still is. Bayley and Becky are with Alexis, so they won't be in the match. And Rhea is facing Bianca at Hell in a Cell, and I'll get to that momentarily. SmackDown, Raquel, Natty, Shayna, Zia, a returning Lacey Evans, who is going to be on SmackDown and stay there. Aliyah, Shotzi. But that's only 7 people. I'll get into that in a moment as well. So, of course, Charlotte is the champ plus injured, and Sasha and Naomi are the tag champs, so they're sticking with that. So, we head into week 1. And the other thing I want to note real quick is there's only 4 weeks of build for Money in the Bank instead of 5 like the previous 2 videos. And then it'll be 4 weeks again after Money in the Bank going into SummerSlam. Because Money in the Bank is this coming Saturday, and then SummerSlam, I believe, is like the last Saturday of the month of July. So, yeah, crazy. But anyway, following Hell in a Cell, it is announced that there will be a fatal 4-way match to determine Bianca's challenger on Money in the Bank. So basically, like what we got in real life, Bianca having in this case having successfully defended her title one-on-one against Asuka. Asuka enters this match along with Liv Morgan, Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley, basically following what we've seen in real life, including booting out Edge for Finn Balor. And then Piper's in the match also. Now, in real life, Rhea, in the Fatal 4-Way, which had Alexa in it in real life instead of Asuka, she took a move from Liv, which Alexa was involved in, and what happened was Rhea's leg hit the bottom rope, knee came up, smashed her in the face, had to get a brace put in her teeth, and apparently also suffered a brain injury. In this world, that doesn't happen. Because again, and it's not because of Alexa not being in the match. That's part of it because it changes how the match happens. But it just doesn't happen because nobody wants to see that. So Rhea stays healthy. She wins the match. This match, of course, main events Raw like we saw in real life, and Rhea wins, so she gets to face Bianca at Money in the Bank. So there's your Bianca update. So with that said, now we get into the fun stuff. Not to say that wasn't fun, but this is even more. So, early in the show, or earlier, we get a segment on Alexa's playground. Alexa and Lily positioned on the swings, though this time, Becky and Bayley stand behind Alexa. Again, watch parts 1 and 2. This will not make sense to you otherwise. Just saying. And they're both wearing Alexa's logo on their chest, as well as having a slight bit of paint color in the tips of their hair for symbolic reasons. Alexa begins by saying, "Welcome back to Alexa's Playground. I am pleased to be joined by my 2 newest friends, Becky and Bayley." She chuckles happily, then settles down. Now you're probably wanting to ask, Alexa, what are you doing? What is your plan? What have you done with Becky and Bayley? Well, it isn't so easy to explain, at least right now. But you'll see soon enough, starting with Money in the Bank. All will be made clear in the near future. She then looks at Becky, then Bayley, then back into the camera, her voice taking on a far more serious and darker tone. "I want everyone to know that if you get in my way, I will make you pay, and you will regret ever stepping up to me. This is my time to truly wreak havoc on the entire women's division. And now, with Becky and Bayley at my side, that shall begin. So either let me through or suffer. Rollins here. On NXT, yes, we're crossing over into NXT. This is probably the most fun part of this whole thing, but you'll see. On NXT the next night, Mandy Rose opens the show by herself without her Toxic Attraction teammates yet. Stay with me here. Still wearing the NXT Women's title around her waist after defending it at In Your House against Wendy Chu. Again, basically what we saw in real life. And looks rather annoyed. She gets on the mic and begins by praising herself for retaining her title, seemingly sounding happy for herself. However, she immediately flips afterward as to why she came in looking so annoyed in the first place, saying that she wants to address her so-called teammates because while I've managed to keep my title against every challenger that's faced me, you two have managed to lose your titles not once, but twice. Yes, I said twice. In my booking, I do have Kaden and Katana defeating Gigi and JC for the women's tag team titles at In Your House instead of losing them. So, of course, the first time they lost to Raquel and Dakota on the pre-show to Stand and Deliver. Keep that in mind. Anyway, moving on. Gigi and JC come out with JC saying, "What the hell is this all about, Mandy?" The champ replies, "What this is about is how I'm sick and tired of the both of you disappointing me. I've managed to not say anything for some time now, but In Your House showed me that I need to let it out. How do you two manage to keep allowing yourself to be embarrassed by my opponents before my matches? How the hell have you managed to lose your tag titles on two separate occasions, the first being on a damn pre-show?" Gigi and JC defend themselves against Mandy's remarks until there's a surprise appearance from Sasha Banks and Naomi, the women's tag team champions. And Naomi remarks, "Well, seems like we've interrupted a pretty fiery discussion, haven't we?" "What the hell do you two want?" Mandy replies. To which Sasha and Naomi smile. Then Naomi says, "We wanted to come and pay you three a little visit. And on top of that, we have some interesting news to share." Sasha nods, then says, "Indeed we do. First, because there's only 7 superstars on SmackDown to compete for 4 spots in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, it has been decided that starting tonight, there will be a tournament to determine who the 8th person will be to go and have a chance at making it to the match. The tournament winner will go to SmackDown on the Friday before Money in the Bank for the 4th and final qualifying match. Regardless of the match's outcome, they will also officially be moved up to the SmackDown brand. This gets a massive pop from the NXT audience and leaves Mandy bewildered. So what the hell does that have to do with us, she then says. And here's where the kicker comes in. Mandy then says, "If that's all you got, then move along. I have these two to deal with in getting the tag titles back." To which Sasha and Naomi laugh, and Sasha responds, "See, that's the thing. 7 of the tournament's competitors have been determined, leaving 1 spot left. That will be determined right now between Gigi and JC. The winner will face their first round opponent later tonight." This shocks the crowd. Mind blown. And a massive pop goes out because nobody's expecting any of this, to be quite honest. Like this, the beginning of this episode of NXT has been shocking from the start, all things considered. And Mandy, Gigi, and JC all looked shocked as a referee comes out to officiate the match. Gigi looks at JC, shrugs, then shoves Mandy out of the ring. The bell rings and the match gets going, and Mandy watches from the outside in stunned silence while Sasha and Naomi smile, wave, and head to the back, and Gigi beats JC to earn the final spot in the tournament. Now, you can make the argument that JC should be in this spot, but I'm taking Gigi for this one. If you disagree, let me know. Later that night, Gigi faces Ivy Nile in the first match of the tourney. Now, I want to mention who will be in this tournament. So, Cora Jade, Wendy Chu, Tiffany Stratton, Indy Hartwell, Ivy Nile, Lash Legend, Elektra Lopez, and Gigi Dolan. So I think at the time I was writing this, Nikita Lyons either got hurt or wasn't hurt yet. And of course, well, actually no. I think she was still in the breakout tournament, and of course Roxanne went on to win said tournament, so she's also that's the reason why she's not in this qualifier tournament. But that all aside, Gigi got the win, and then she beats Ivy Nile later on to advance to the next round. The other first round match to take place on the night is Wendy Chu versus Tiffany Stratton, which Wendy wins. Of course, they're in a little feud right now in real life, which is nice. Sasha and Naomi are interviewed after NXT goes off the air, and in said interview uploaded by WWE to their socials, Naomi says that they'll be back next week with a special announcement. Then on SmackDown, the first of the Money in the Bank qualifiers begins. Lacey Evans makes her return, facing Aaliyah for a spot in Money in the Bank, which Lacey wins. Shotzi has a segment backstage where she talks about her desire to win Money in the Bank. Of course, she hasn't had a lot going for her lately, so she's hoping to get some momentum going here. And then gets interrupted by Raquel, saying that she'll be the one to take the briefcase, and that if Shotzi gets in her way, she'll be dealt with accordingly. They are then approached by Adam Pearce, who announces that Shotzi and Raquel will face each other for a spot in Money in the Bank match next week. So starting a little feud there. Why not? So we get to week 2. On Raw, the Money in the Bank qualifying matches begin. Tonight brings 2 matches. The first being Alexa, with Becky and Bayley watching at the bottom of the entrance ramp, taking on Tamina. And as soon as the bell rings, Alexa immediately attacks Tamina with fury. It doesn't take long before she hits Twisted Bliss, securing the victory in about 2 minutes. Yes, it's a squash. Yeah, I know it's kind of not the greatest way to do it, but for Alexa, this means something. You'll see. She gracefully exits the ring, grabs a mic, then goes and stands in front of Bayley and Becky before saying, rather ominously, what you just saw is only a hint, a glimpse of what will come. The briefcase will be mine, before giving off a laugh of similar nature. The lights flicker a little bit as the trio head to the back. The other qualifier is Asuka versus Nikki. Asuka wins. Then we get back to NXT. The other 2 first-round matches happen. Cora Jade versus Elektra Lopez, and Indy Hartwell versus Lash Legend. Cora and Indy win, setting up a pretty damn good round 2 match for next week. Gigi winds up finding her stuff outside Toxic Attraction's own locker room, or outside the Toxic Lounge, whatever, and Gigi having been locked out. A note is left with her stuff, which reads, "You're done. Forget about the tag titles. Enjoy fending for yourself again. Hopefully you survive on your own, you wannabe sultry bitch." MR and JJ. Initialed for Mandy Rose and Jacy Jayne. Gigi Dolan has essentially been exiled from Toxic Attraction, while Mandy and Jacy have made up after Mandy's tirade the week prior. Gigi says to herself, "They kicked me out. Guess I'll have to show them they were wrong for that." And she takes away her stuff and walks away. Kicking off the second out of the show, Sasha and Naomi return, coming out to the ring to make their announcement. First, however, Sasha Banks calls for Katana Chance, Casey Catanzaro, and Kaden Carter, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, to the ring, which they happily oblige. The 2 teams acknowledge each other and show respect, and then Naomi says it may be a little late, but congrats on winning the NXT Women's Tag Team titles for the very first time. And I want to say that the reason why I have it this way is because, first of all, they deserve to have the Women's Tag Team Championships. I'm just saying. But second of all, think about it for a minute. Katana and Kaden absolutely should be the ones to win the titles from Gigi and Jacy in real life. Because if you remember, when NXT 2.0 started, literally at the very end of the Black and Gold era and the beginning of the 2.0 era, it was Gigi and Jacy who attacked Casey and Kaden. And that was also through those little interactions was how it was revealed that Mandy was back on NXT and leading that group. So, and then not long after, they won the tag titles. So it would be perfectly fitting if Katana and Kaden got some revenge, as they should. Anywho, the crowd cheers, and Kaden and Katana thank Naomi and Sasha. They exchange pleasantries themselves, and then Sasha drops the announcement, a big challenge. And in saying, however, we're not here to celebrate that. We came back this week because we have a little proposition for the 2 of you. See, in our quest to elevate and bring respect to women's tag team wrestling in this company, Naomi and I both felt that this extends beyond Raw and SmackDown, that this endeavor spreads to NXT as well. So with that in mind, Sasha flashes a smile to Naomi, then looks at the NXT Tag Champs again and says, "Katana, Kaden, what would you say if Naomi and I challenged you to a champ versus champ match at Money in the Bank. You damn right I'm doing this. And you want to know why? Because there's an article out there where Sasha and Naomi were interviewed. I think it was either Sasha gave the answer or they both did, but it is said that they, or at least with Sasha, would like to work with Katana and Kaden in the future. Now, of course, that future for Sasha and Naomi is a bit up in the air. Y'all know why. But you damn right I'm making this happen. Fuck yes. Let's go. The crowd loses their minds, and Katana and Kaden looked absolutely stunned. No titles on the line, just pride and respect. You in? As Sasha says. To which Katana and Kaden exchange glances. Then Katana responds, "You're damn right we're in." All four smile at each other as the crowd pops again for this huge match announcement. It is massive. Massive. Anywho, on SmackDown, Shotzi and Raquel square off for the spot for a spot in the Money in the Bank match. Raquel makes it clear early that she meant what she said about taking Shotzi out to get into the match. However, Shotzi is not one to be deterred. And in what may be considered as an upset, Shotzi defeats Raquel to earn her spot in the match. They do have, a history in NXT, especially when they were tag teams. Shotzi with, I believe, Ember Moon, and Raquel with Dakota Kai. Raquel is pissed afterward and has to be held back by security so she doesn't chase after Shotzi. So for week 3, Money in the Bank qualifying match continue. Liv takes on Dana and wins, which leaves the final qualifier for next week being Piper versus Carmella. Alexa has a short backstage interview, and at this point, I wasn't necessarily sure what to write. I had something else in place here, but I pushed that to week 4. You'll see momentarily. But for this interview, it's basically, she mentions how good it felt to take Tamina down so quickly the week prior, saying it felt invigorating and that the rest of the women's Money in the Bank participants should be fearing her. And then she mentions at the end that she will have a presentation next week on Raw before Money in the Bank, then walks off with Bayley and Becky behind her. And of course, with Lily as well. On NXT, Gigi has an in-ring promo. She addresses being kicked out of Toxic Attraction, saying that JC is jealous of her and that she didn't see the opportunity to do to her exactly what Gigi did in order to secure the final attorney spot. Addressing Mandy, Gigi says that her return to NXT and putting Toxic Attraction and being put in Toxic Attraction was a blessing and all of that. But now she feels that Mandy has become a control freak and expects her and JC to always be there when she needs to take care of her own business. In particular, saying, if Mandy were to lose her title, she'd blame it on me and JC. I can see it now. Mandy and JC come out to confront Gigi, and Mandy declares, the reason why I kicked you out is because you were the weak link. You weren't being serious enough. Gigi retorts, says the one who had to face someone in a damn onesie. Of course, referring to Wendy. Pretty rich coming from you. Looking at JC, Gigi says, I did what I had to do, whether you like it or not. Addressing them both, she says, tonight I'm going to beat that onesie wearing fraud. Then I'm going to win next week. In the finals, go to Money in the Bank and prove that you made a stupid choice booting me out. You'll be begging me to come back. This is a bit of foreshadowing. Stay tuned. Gigi looks directly at Mandy then and says, how's that for a wannabe sultry bitch? Wendy's music then hits and Gigi kicks the mic out of the ring while Mandy and JC, pissed off, head to the back. Wendy smiles and waves as she enters to face Gigi, and Mandy and JC watch from the back as Gigi proceeds to defeat Wendy around 4.5 minutes, controlling most of the match and proving she ain't no slouch. And we all know that she isn't, but this is specifically proving a point to Mandy and JC. The other match, Cora versus Indy, takes place later in the night. And I wasn't exactly sure which way I wanted to go with it, but I ended up going with this. Cora looks to have the match won at one point, but Indy manages to steal the win and advance. Quite frankly, I think it might as well be time for Indy to get moved up to the main roster, and, well, you'll see what happens. Also, if you're wondering why Io Shirai is not in this tourney, that's because right now, she's unfortunately hurt. I was thinking about having Alba Fire in the match too, or in the tournament as well, but she had just recently come back to NXT with the Alba Fire character, so, which is basically a revamping of herself, different name though. And I didn't want to screw that up, so that's why she's been left out. But Io Shirai specifically, if she was not hurt right now, she would be in this tournament and definitely win it. Not probably, definitely. It's just unfortunate that that's not the case. So on SmackDown, Naomi faces Katana one-on-one while Sasha and Kayden commentate. Both women put on a spirited match, and in an upset, Katana scores the pin on Naomi. Kayden celebrates with Katana, then Sasha announces, "Your turn, Kayden, you and me." Sasha gets in the ring as Katana exits, as does Naomi, and then the match begins. Sasha showcases some vintage Sasha maneuvers, but Kayden manages to match her. And Sasha will pull out the win, but puts Kayden over big time, making it look as if Kayden could have potentially pinned her and had a couple of chances to. But Sasha being Sasha, she gets the job done. Bank statement, win, and there you go. The third SmackDown Money in the Bank qualifier happens, Shayna defeating Zia, leaving Natty to face the NXT tournament winner. And Raquel is seen looking around backstage for Shotzi, and when confronted for an interview, she says, "She stole my Money in the Bank spot. I should be in that match. She doesn't want to face me because she knows she won't win in a rematch. So I'm going to find her and show her what Big Mommy Cool," because that's her nickname, does when people cross her. You know, Spanish accent and all that. It is announced after SmackDown that Raquel and Shotzi will have a rematch next week with Shotzi's Money in the Bank spot on the line. If Shotzi wins, she stays in the match. If she loses, Raquel takes her spot. Simple as that. So, week 4, final week, that would be this week, before Money in the Bank. On Raw, Piper faces Carmella for the final Money in the Bank spot on the Raw side, and Carmella advances. Alexa, Asuka, Liv, and Carmella represent Raw in Money in the Bank this year. So, the Alexa presentation, as I mentioned before. She has a segment where she's sitting on a ladder in a darkened room with Lily on her lap. She says, "I wanted to take you all back to one of the best moments of my career," she says in her usual cheery tone. She then snaps her fingers, and a large screen behind her turns on, replaying her Money in the Bank ladder match victory and subsequent cash-in on the same night during the Ronda Nia Raw Women's title match, back in 2018, I believe. This night, winning Money in the Bank, cashing it in, and retaking the Raw Women's title, it was a night I won't ever forget. I'd even say it was one of, if not the best night of my career to this point. Keyword. She giggles a bit, then her tone changes. "I was known as the goddess back then. Yet when I look back, I should have had more. The control I had at the top was fading, and I didn't fight to keep it. I let my opposition bring me down, and it cost me. My shoulder got injured the month before this very match. I got concussed at Hell in a Cell the month after I lost the title at SummerSlam. I was robbed of a dream match," versus Trish Stratus, mind you, "at WWE's first ever all-women event, and more importantly, I was robbed of time in the ring. Robbed of time fighting to retake my spot at the top." This heats her up, but she calms down and smiles her typical Alexa smile and looks directly into the camera. But now, none of that matters. At Money in the Bank, I will become the first 2-time women's Money in the Bank winner. And Carmella fans, do not come at me. James Ellsworth won it the first time for no fucking reason whatsoever. And then Carmella had to win it on SmackDown. Don't at me. Just saying. When I do, everyone should watch their back. Because I won't stop for anyone until I get what I want. She chuckles evilly, then smiles and says, "A new era of bliss will begin soon. Stay tuned." Before snapping her fingers, the camera cutting to black before commercial. And of course, the eerie laugh from her theme plays in the background. So, Alexa's laid out the challenge. Now we have to see if she can make it happen. On NXT, Mandy and JC watch from the Toxic Lounge above as Gigi faces Indy for the right to face Natalya on SmackDown to advance to Money in the Bank. Gigi notices them but doesn't acknowledge them. She just focuses on the match as best she can. The match gets underway, and throughout the match it becomes very apparent that Gigi is going to pull out all the stops to win the match to prove a point to Mandy and JC, who watch with interest. But in the end, Indy Hartwell manages to pull out the victory, much to Gigi's dismay and disappointment. Left in the ring alone to her emotions, Mandy and JC come down to address her. This is going to get interesting. Mandy says that Gigi has impressed the hell out of her these past few weeks, for resolve and all of that, and that Mandy is wrong to have cast her out of the group. JC adds that things have been hectic as of late and that they haven't been as cohesive as they once were as a unit. And then Mandy asks Gigi, would you be willing to forgive me and JC and rejoin Toxic Attraction so we can go back to dominating NXT 2.0? Gigi, who's gotten up by this point and got handed a mic, looks at Mandy and JC, chuckles a little, and responds, you two hurt me when you turn your backs on me. Now that I've apparently proven my worth to you, you come down here and want me back? Seriously? Again, foreshadowing from earlier. Gigi grins, then steps directly up to Mandy. The answer is no. I may not be moving up, but I'm sure as hell not going to let you hold me back again. Mandy Rose, it is about time somebody put you in your place. I want the NXT Women's title, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. Gigi drops the mic, shoves Mandy and JC before exiting the ring, and Mandy and JC are left stunned with revelation. Now, real quick, I want to say, I don't see Toxic Attraction getting split up anytime soon. But it would be interesting to see Mandy address the fact that over time, Gigi and JC have fallen for several of Mandy's own opponents, traps and stuff, to get them out of the way. And yes, they end up coming back, and Mandy gets the job done every time, but it's getting irritating to Mandy that keeps happening, among other things. Again, you could put JC in Gigi's position if you want, but I think Gigi might be the better option here just because she's going to provide that fire towards Mandy. And if we were to get Mandy versus Gigi for the NXT Women's title at some point down the road, that would be incredible. Hell, I mean, Gigi versus Roxanne one-on-one, that would be a badass match if you ask me. Gigi versus Cora one-on-one, there's a few different ones you can do. I'd like to see it happen. So, that being said, we move on. On SmackDown, Indy takes on Natty for the final spot in the Women's Money in the Bank match, and Indy scores the W. Shotzi and Raquel have their rematch to determine if Shotzi will remain in the Money in the Bank match, or if she'll be taken out in favor of Raquel. Raquel looks to dominate the match and take Shotzi out, but Shotzi uses that against her opponent, resulting in Shotzi taking the victory and securing her Money in the Bank spot, much to Raquel's disapproval. Sasha and Naomi and Katana and Kaden have one more face-to-face encounter before their match at Money in the Bank. It is made clear between the two teams that the match isn't about brand superiority or to see who's better, but simply for respect. Both teams make their cases, but at the end of it all, Sasha states, may the best team win. Two sides shake hands, they exit the ring. So, now we get to Money in the Bank. Sasha and Naomi versus Katana and Kaden will open the show with the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match as the third match on the schedule for the night. Sasha and Naomi enter first, and then Sasha takes the privilege of getting on the mic and introducing Katana and Kaden as they enter, with the crowd giving off one hell of a reaction to them. The match begins in earnest not long after, and the match features a load of tag team offense, much of which coming from Katana and Kaden as a way of countering Sasha and Naomi's individual moves. When things get back to one-on-one, both sides showcase high levels of talent and putting each other over huge. With Sasha and Naomi, again, as I said, putting the NXT tag champs over big, and Katana and Kaden returning the favor. And it really looks to seem even, for the most part, throughout a lot of the match. In the end, some clever teamwork between Katana and Kaden sets up Katana to hit her finisher, which is a beautiful finisher, individually speaking. They have an amazing tag team finisher together, but Katana's finisher all by itself is insane. She hits it clean, pins Sasha, yes, Sasha, 1, 2, 3, and the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions win the match in an upset victory at Money in the Bank. You goddamn right. Kitana and Kaden celebrate together, and not long after, Sasha and Naomi embrace them in the ring. Sasha can be seen saying, "We'll be doing this again in the future" to them before the show goes to commercial. So, a big match to open the show and a huge upset victory for the NXT Tag Team Champions, and something that I would love to see. And I definitely feel like Sasha and Naomi would be more than willing to put them over that way if such a thing were to happen. This would probably be more likely to happen at an NXT pay-per-view rather than a WWE main roster pay-per-view, but regardless, it's still a big-time match, at least to me. So, before the Women's Money in the Bank match, Raquel attacks Shotzi backstage in an act of revenge for losing to her twice and feeling slighted as a result. Raquel taunts Shotzi as she is tended to, but Shotzi does enter the match anyway despite the attack and, injury, or what have you. So, as the Women's Money in the Bank match begins, while everyone else is either going for the briefcase or going after each other, Alexa waits in the corner, biding her time. Her strategy is to attack when necessary and not to expend so much energy to where she's struggling to even get up later on, let alone get up the ladder. Her patience confuses some of her competitors who end up engaging with her and failing as Alexa takes them down, just as she always does. And as the match goes on, the other competitors seemingly choose to leave Alexa be while she surveys the area and plans things out. Commentary's even a bit confused at one point, and Alexa, she just looks over at them, smiles, gives a little wave, and then turns back to watching the chaos. So I'm not saying that Alexa spends the majority of the time in the match just on the ring apron or in the corner, but she does spend a good portion of it there, simply because the way she sees it is she doesn't need to go on the attack the whole time. She doesn't need to. She doesn't need to take all these ladder shots. She's more calculated, structured, strategic. She knows what she wants, and she knows how she's going to get it. Plain and simple. So, as the match winds down, most of the competitors are either laid out or busy with someone else on the outside. Alexa, having just taken care of Liv, for the moment, sets up a ladder near the middle of the ring. Not necessarily in the middle, but near it. Excuse me. And begins her ascent. Mere moments before this, Shayna applies her submission to Asuka, taking her out of the match at this point, then moves her aside to get to the ring apron. Seeing Liv, she directs her to get to Alexa, and Liv does so accordingly. Shayna's then attacked by Indy on the outside. Liv pulls Alexa down, lays in a few shots, then dumps her to the outside, before quickly climbing up the ladder. At the top, she goes to reach for the briefcase, and everybody's thinking, oh, Liv's about to win this. She should have won last year. She's about to win it this year. Lights go out. When they come back up, the lights have gone red, and now Becky is at the top of the ladder opposite Liv. Becky smiles at a shocked Liv Morgan, and then gives her a hard shove off the ladder, again, near the very top, sending her out of the ring. And I know this would be a scary spot to see it happen in real life, because there's a chance that Liv getting shoved off could hit the ring ropes and completely fuck it up. But I'm putting trust in that if this spot were to happen, it would be done successfully. It's really it's about ladder placement and how much push off Liv gets, both from Becky and from pushing off the ladder itself. But regardless, she gets shoved off out of the ring into the waiting arms of Bayley on the outside, who holds Liv for a moment before delivering a Bayley to belly suplex. Shayna gets back onto the apron and into the ring quickly, but Becky jumps off the ladder and intercepts her, delivering the manhandle slam before rolling Bayley out of the ring. With everybody else taken out, Alexa then re-enters the ring, smiles at both Becky and Bayley, and thanks them for their help, and they hold the ladder as Alexa climbs up, the lights slowly turning back to normal as Bliss reaches the top, grabs the briefcase, and becomes the first two-time Women's Money in the Bank champion. Again, don't at me. Ellsworth won it the first time. Fuck you. She holds the briefcase up in the air, smiling devilishly into the camera as Bayley and Becky look towards the cameras themselves, pointing up at Alexa while her theme plays in the arena. The crowd is completely stunned, cheering her on, of course, but they're stunned at how it happened. And now, this leaves much intrigue as to which champion Alexa will choose to go after. Because in reality, she had, as I've mentioned before, back in part 1, she has beef with both champions. As you'll see, there's one that she wants more than the other. And shit's about to get wild. With all that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below. I will catch you all next time. Peace.